Today's Midah is Gevurah Sh'Bechesed, which indicates that there's a facet of Chesed. We talked yesterday about Chesed as channeling the very force of life-giving that Hashem emanates into our world, and that is a frequency, that is an actual energy in creation that we ourselves can channel and embody. But in doing so, there are many different facets to it, and the facet we're going to discuss today is Gevurah Sh'Bechesed. Rav Wolbe explains that many times there are situations that arise where we have an opportunity to do chesed, but we realize when we look carefully that in some situations it's actually better to hold back from giving to someone else, because if we give in the wrong way, or if we give too much, or we give when the situation is not appropriate, we can actually achieve the opposite result of that which we intend. An example, very common example, many times our children sometimes are lazy or struggling for whatever reason, and we want to have a tendency as parents, we want to help them, we care about them, we love them, so we want to do what they need to do for them. But the truth is that we're not really helping them when we do that. By holding back, restraining, that's the force of Gevurah, to restrain the giving in a situation where we ourselves see that this person maybe is taking too much of an advantage of me, or is just being lazy, and really by holding back I can create the situation where they will see that they need to act independently, they need to do something for themselves. That can be the greatest chesed. Gevurah Sh'Bechesed means that not always is showering people with pure goodness all the time the way to achieve the result of giving them the goodness and giving them that which they truly need. That could also involve holding back on the chesed. Now, it's Gevurah Sh'Bechesed because an act of Gevurah means to hold back for the sake of holding back. An act of holding back because that's the way in this situation to truly give, that's called Gevurah Sh'Bechesed. This is always relevant when dealing with our children, when dealing with all those who rely upon us and who need us in so many ways. There's always a tension, a give and a take. We want to help them, we want them to be independent, and learning to navigate that tension by also having in our toolbox the ability to hold back from giving when it's the right thing to do in order to truly give. That's one aspect of Gevurah Sh'Bechesed that we can begin to work on right now. Another aspect of Gevurah Sh'Bechesed, Rav Wolbe explains, is that many times there are situations that arise that are chesed opportunities, but these are opportunities that requires some real challenging effort, whether it's strategy and tact, like for example in situations where you're dealing with people's sensitivities, their busha, they don't want to be perceived as people who are needy, or someone's pride and various things like that. These sensitivities require of us that if we want to truly do a chesed, we have to be sensitive to the other people's situation, their shame, their pride, whatever it might be, and take that into consideration. And that means using strategy and tact. The Gemara gives an example of a situation of a person who truly needed money and was poor but wouldn't accept it because of pride. So the Gemara says, suggest offering it to the person as a loan. They don't know that you have this in mind, but offer them a loan, because a loan, they'll feel the responsibility that they have to pay back and they won't be ashamed. And then you, as the lender, have the prerogative of being able to be mochel, to forgo on the repayment of the loan when the time comes. And in that way, you can actually cleverly find a way to give someone something that they truly needed, but because of their own issues, were unable to accept. And that requires strength. It requires inner strength. It requires tact. It requires strategy. Sometimes we deal with situations that people who we're dealing with are genuinely difficult people to deal with, and we have to be on guard. We have to be dancing on eggshells sometimes, and those are the chesadim many times with our parents or our grandparents, or with elders and people who aren't always fully in use of all of their faculties. It's difficult to figure out ways to help them and to be kind to them, and that requires not just the easy release of the energy of giving, but to actually hold back and channel it and mitigate it and fit it into the situations that are in front of us, and that requires real inner strength. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh to identify these unique opportunities that come our way, where Gevurah Sh'Bechesed is the right tool, and also Hashem should bless us with the inner strength not only to give of ourselves and release of ourselves, of our time, of our energy, of our resources, because we realize Olam Chesed Yiboneh, but also to be able to hold back on that when it is the right thing to do. And we should be zoicha to that inner strength, the Gevurah Sh'Bechesed. Chag Sameach.